So you hired a wallpaper hanger, told you that he was a professional, and so he hung your 27-inch, very expensive Serena and Lily. One of the things with this wallpaper is that as a paper hanger, you know that it's highly pigmented. And so just because I like to share with you things that I've learned over the years, one of the first things I want to tell you is, number one, test your color running. Take a piece of this and challenge the wall covering and to see if the color runs when you manipulate it with your hands or when you wipe it down with a sponge. Because you want to know if this color is going to come off either during manipulation or during cleaning. If it does, you know how to proceed very delicately. That's number one. Number two is this. The backing of this wall covering, they're starting to shade the backing. Look at this. Very nice. I'd actually like to see it blue, but it's gray, and we can work with that. And that will assist in the beauty of the finished product. Instead of having it white, because look what would happen if the edges were white. Let me show them over here. You see this? Now, I'm going to discuss this, but that's an exaggerated appearance of what I'm trying to tell you. You would have a very, very thin line of white. But now that they're coloring the edges, we don't have that issue as much. You see, Serena and Lily and every other company that makes wallpaper wants to sell their product. And so when they get calls from customers, I don't like the way it looks, well, they're starting to respond to your calls by coloring the backing a darker color so that the edges, if you should hang this over a texture, do not show the white edge, which would be right here. A darker backing prohibits such an imperfection. Okay, so that's the second issue that I raised during this video. Now, the third issue is this. When you have a professional hang your wall covering, this is not something for which you would pay a professional. I want to show you what somebody paid somebody to do. So come on in with me, please. So when I get calls saying, how much? How much to hang wallpaper? The alternative is this. This is almost 1/4 of an inch from the ceiling. And I don't want to hear that, well, the ceiling is imperfect there. That's why we have smoothers that push the paper into the ceiling, etc. And then he tried to paint the void there. Okay, ridiculous. Look at the stressed seams, okay? I want you to take a look at these seams here. By the way, he put, if you can see this, he put blue paint in the corner here. You see this? This is totally, we're ripping this job out. First of all, I should say, I didn't do this job. I am here to fix this. Okay, so this is what you pay for when you don't hire me. That's really what I'm trying to tell you. Number one, they don't cut it long enough to accommodate the ceiling. Number two, can you hear that? Watch, listen. You hear that? Lots of air. Seams that don't match in the corner. Okay, now we come over to this wall and you can see the corrosive effect of clear strippable glue on this satin finish. This is finished, ruined, okay? This was glue that was left on too long, and this has begun its corrosive effect on the shell of the wall covering. Okay, over here we have seams that were overworked like this. And so what did we do? We exposed we removed the color here. Not we, but they did. So the guy removed the color and simply exposed the layer between the blue and the backing that I showed you. Okay? So we have the color. He removed the color from it. And that will happen when you stress it too much. Okay. What's over here? He slipped with his blade, and so he left the cut in the wall covering. And oh, listen to this. All air. With this wall covering, here's what happens. Okay, this is one of the wall coverings that you would use a mixture of glue and water, because this is good paper. This is thick. Here's what happens. It sucks the water out of the glue. And if you don't water down the glue, if you don't add water to it, well, when you go to hang it, the consistency of the glue when you apply it is going to be less, it's going to be more thick, because the paper will, like a straw, take the water out of the glue. Very hard to manipulate. So if you wet it down, instead of having stressed seams, you see he put this in place, and then his seams were so dry, he quit. He overlapped them. When you wet down your wall covering, you can do this. See this? When it's not wet and you have wallpaper like this sucking the water out of it, you do this. It doesn't move that much. And so you're kind of left with seams that look terrible. Okay, so what else can we say? Take a look at this. Here is a 3/16 of an inch overlap in the seam. And so instead of butting the seams together, for some reason he decided to overlap them. Okay? Around a light fixture, you want to be a little more diligent in getting out these little imperfections. Here's what I do. If I should miss one, because nobody's perfect, if I should miss one, I simply take my smoother, I put it over the thing, and I go, and I try to pulverize this if it should be a little spitball of glue. If it's not, that's never going to pulverize. But you have a 50-50 chance of getting rid of that. Simply with a little right over your smoother. You don't do it directly on the thing, you can tear the paper, but you do it on something that will disperse the impact of your fist. It's just a little trick. Okay, and that's what I would say is wrong with this wallpaper installation job. I give it an F, complete F, and we're going to rip this down and install new. And we'll see what kind of installation he did in terms of preparing the wall, because the wall is going to show us if he at least did that right. If the walls were not prepared right, we're going to be removing a lot more than wallpaper. Let's see. Oh man, this is... Let me just tell you, I forgot. The gentleman who hired me told me that he put lining paper on this job. The errors are so manifold on this job. One of the reasons why this is so imperfect is because he applied a liner paper on this. A complete failure, but hey, that's why you hire a professional. And a friend from Galway, Ireland told me one thing. He said, Spencer, it's professionalism is not expensive, it's priceless. Something like that, I'll never forget it. The point of it, it's just, it's a priceless thing, because if you think about it now, if you have to now incur the price of getting one of these rolls, and now we need 3 of them, and they're $100 a pop, and then the labor to get this off, to re-prepare the walls. Consider if you want to get yourself a professional installer or somebody who does it once in a while. Okay, this is Spencer Colgan. Please click on my channel, Spencer Colgan Wallpaper and Painting. Tell me if you like the video. Send me a question. I really appreciate it. I try to get your questions addressed immediately. I'll see you on the next one as we do this video. I'll show you this is the before obviously, and I'll show you the after on a subsequent video. See you on the next one.